All right, ladies, welcome back. Today is episode 38, and I'm very stoked to introduce you to Juliana, who has a unique life story and who has accepted to record this episode fully in English. I honor her courage as it is her third language and it's pretty recent in her life. I can't wait for you to hear how her intuition changed her life forever and how she found love in English. Or should I say, she found English in love? Either way, this episode is rich and inspiring, so let's meet her after the intro. So welcome, Juliana, on the podcast of l'anglais, votre meilleur bagage. What a pleasure to have you today. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you, Andréane, for having me. I'm very good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so excited for today's episode because I think that your story is so inspiring and it's just the proof of how the ripple effect can be so magical in someone's life. I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not going to say more, but I just can't wait for the ladies to hear your story because it's quite fantastic. And when you told me, I had so much, I was emotional. I experienced so many emotions because I could see myself in some parts of the story and it really touched me. So I can't wait for today's interview. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Good. So I guess I will start. I will dive in and I will start with the very first question, which is, where are you from?
That's an excellent question. So I am from Romania. And initially, I came with my parents and my brother when I was 10 years old. We came to Canada, but we first came to Quebec. So we reached Canada, and it's funny because I remember my parents told me, once we reach Canada, we will give you some time. You will first stay for maybe 2-3 weeks at home, just to get used to the environment, and maybe after we will send you to school. And so I remember coming to Canada, being so excited, but at the same time, of course, there's this language barrier because I was 10 years old and I only knew Romanian. But my parents, they really reassured me that everything would be fine, we will go slowly. And for some reason, something happened. I don't remember exactly what. And a few days later, like 3-4 days later, I was in school.
Oh,
And I couldn't understand anything. It was
of
so
course not.
difficult for me. It was really a big challenge. So my first experience learning French was just go to school and figure it out.
Right. Oh my gosh. For a 10-year-old, that's like, oh, so intense.
Yes. So I remember in school, I was learning English mainly with pictures. For example, a picture of an apple, and then you read pomme.
Yeah.
So I was associating the words with the images in my mind with the Romanian words, and I was trying to associate with the word in French, pomme, and this is how I initially started learning French. And of course, at that point, it took me some time to learn how to make sentences and the verbs, and it was a long process. And I remember it took me some time to learn words and verbs and sentences. When I was reading, I could understand in my mind, but it took me a long time to start speaking because that was my biggest concern. My biggest blockage was to speak with someone else. And honestly, when I started speaking, of course, things happen. Kids, sometimes they're mean. Kids, they laughed at me. And so, of course, I had to push. And in the end, of course, I learned how to speak French. And my goal was to really speak it so well. I would speak as, of course, a French native, which a few years later, I was speaking as a French native. But yeah, initially it was very difficult for me because the person who was supposed to teach me French in school, that person wasn't speaking French. So I kind of had to figure it out by myself. And
Okay.
also in the little time that my parents had with us in the evening, they couldn't teach us too much. So I pretty much had to figure it out by myself. So it
Oh
was
my
it was an
God.
experience.
And so how come the teacher in school wasn't teaching French or speaking French? Like what was going on there? Oh, because I guess when it's elementary school, it's one teacher for the classroom for the whole year, right? Who teaches all the topics? Is that what it is?
No, so basically the teacher was speaking to us in French,
Okay.
but not in Romanian.
Right. Okay. That's what you mean. Ok,
Oui,
c'est bon.
donc par exemple, la professeure nous montrait une photo d'une pomme. Elle nous
Ouais.
disait ça, c'est une pomme.
Ouais.
Ou elle nous expliquait comment faire des phrases, mais elle le faisait en français. Il y a personne qui pouvait m'expliquer en roumain c'est quoi l'équivalent pour que moi, je puisse comprendre plus facilement.
Ok, ouais, je comprends là. I know what you mean. Ok.
Et puis, c'était des classes d'accueil. Donc, on était plein d'enfants qui venaient de différents pays. Donc, imagine une classe avec quelqu'un qui vient de la Roumanie, quelqu'un qui vient de l'Espagne, quelqu'un qui vient de plein de pays, la Norvège, de toutes sortes de
Yeah.
pays. Tu peux pas leur expliquer ou leur apprendre le français à partir de leur langue.
Mm.
Donc, la professeure, elle s'exprimait en français avec des images ou de la meilleure façon dont elle pouvait, mais nous, on devait apprendre par nous-mêmes puis essayer de comprendre.
Right, right. Oh my gosh, that would have been so hard. I mean, see, I really like what you're saying right now because even as a child, and we know that child's brains are like sponges, right?
Yes.
But it still shows that it's really important to link with the language that you know when you're learning another language. And frankly, I feel like this is how they try to teach us English in high school, which I mean, maybe we can also go there with your story because I'd be curious to hear like what was your experience of English in high school. But for me, my experience of English in high school wasn't great, because the teacher was only speaking English and somehow they expected us to understand everything. And I was like, well, how am I supposed to understand something in a language that I've never learned, And so I always wanted to make some sort of links. And of course, the English teachers in high school, they always say, no, don't speak French. Don't speak French. Only in English. Think in English and only speak English. And it's like, how am I supposed to think in English if I don't know English? So how was high school for you? Like in your English classes, was it like that too?
Actually, yes. So since my first experience learning French was so challenging and so difficult because no one could explain to me the words in Romanian and then in French. So it's easy for me to learn French and I had to learn pretty much by myself and make my own associations, if I can say, between words and verbs and try to teach myself French while watching TV. Since it was such a difficult and challenging experience, then I reached high school and it's true. It's exactly like you said. I was going to my English classes and the teachers were only speaking in English. And my first reaction is, of course, this is a nightmare. I have to teach myself again another language. Like, why?
I know. What a nightmare for sure. Like for the second time and you're only 13.
Yeah, and then I was thinking, of course, I can understand that my first experience was maybe not that good because the French teacher could not know all those languages, of course.
Exactly.
So she could only express herself in French and try to teach us French because all of us were speaking different languages. But then I was like, now I know French. Why is she not teaching us English with French, And so it was very difficult for me. And frankly, I didn't learn much because at that point I was very discouraged and I didn't really want to go through the same experience of trying and teaching myself.
Yeah.
So I didn't learn much in high school. I will be very honest with you. I didn't learn much.
I resonate with that, like I feel that what I learned in high school was my irregular verbs. Those were the tests that I always had 10 out of 10, but yeah, I don't have the best memories of English classes in high school. And it's funny because I love the English language, and I always knew at the bottom of my heart that one day I would speak English, but I knew it wouldn't be with the high school system or the teachers that we had there anyway. So I totally resonate. And so going back to when you learned French, so how many months or years do you think that it took you to really own the language and speak like a native?
I would say that's a very good question. So I would say from what I remember, because I was very young, I would say about 1.5 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. That's really, really good. See, that's how when we say the kids they are sponges, that's a great example, because yes, it was hard. I mean, you were taken out of your home country. I mean, it was a choice with the family, of course, and your parents really prepared you well and then made you like hopeful and then excited about getting to Canada. But then boom, 3 days after you get there, like, oh, I say Canada, but I should say Quebec because it's very different.
Okay.
And and then next thing you know, you're in school because they probably found a spot for you. Maybe they didn't even know they were going to have this spot for you or something. And then it's just like, well, come, welcome here. And here's your life now. And so that must have been very challenging because like all your, en français, c'est comme tous tes repères, all your landmarks were gone. You had to create new friends and create new landmarks and create new connections. So yeah, that's impressive. I can relate so much because my niece is 9. She's 9 years old. And I can imagine, like, let's say her in 1 year leaving the country. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Yeah, that was true. And I remember being in school, and I even remember that one time I just wanted to go to the washroom and I couldn't even say that. And I remember going to the teacher in front and I couldn't say anything because I couldn't express myself in French. I didn't know anything. And the lady, the teacher, she was very sweet. And I remember she was trying to understand what I want. And somehow she was like, do you want number 1? Do you want number 2? I was like, what is this? Because even in Romania, we don't have that number 1
Okay,
and number 2.
right.
And I don't remember exactly how I figured things out and how things happen and how I learned, but somehow day after day, making my own associations in my mind between words and verbs, I kind of figured out. And after 1.5 year, I was able to speak properly.
Wow. Well, congratulations. You have all my admiration, honestly, because I feel like I even think about where I was in those years of my life, and I would have been, I think I would have been scared a little, leaving my comfort zone and the only home that I know. But at the same time, I would like to know, how do you feel about this change, now that you're way later in life, and now that now that you have even a third language, which we're going to get to in a second, but like, how do you feel about that moment, that period of your life now, looking in hindsight?
Yes. So as of right now, I can say that I'm really proud of myself because when I look back, just going to school without any foundation whatsoever in French. And I remember my father taught me 3 things before sending me to school. He taught me how to say yes, no, and I don't understand French. Je ne
Yeah.
comprends pas le français.
C'est
So
bon.
of course, going to school, just knowing yes, no, and I don't understand French, I was spending my days telling people yes, no, when, maybe sometimes some words from Romanian to French, they're
Yeah.
very similar. So I could make some connection of
Yes.
saying yes, no. And the rest of the time I was saying, je ne parle pas le français, ou je
Yeah.
ne comprends pas le français.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really proud of myself, of how I learned French, let's say the hard way,
Yes.
and the way I taught myself French with associations, connections. And honestly, I remember at some point I was so eager to learn French that I kind of reached that point where I was not even afraid anymore of people laughing at me. And I
Yeah.
was just saying openly, hey, I'm gonna say things. If you hear something and you know it's not the right way that I'm saying things, just tell me. And that's how I just became better and better and better, because I was saying openly, please tell me when
Yeah.
something is not right in my way of speaking, in the way expressing myself, in my writing, in everything. Just tell me what I'm
Mm.
doing wrong. And people were just telling me again and again and again, my friends, my
That's
teachers, and
good.
I learned. This is how I learned, basically.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's so good. And it reminds me of my one of my best friend. I call her my BFF, my best foreign friend, because she lives in Christchurch in New Zealand. And thanks to her, that's how my English got to the level it is now, because she would correct everything. We were together for an entire European tour with Disney on Ice, and then she would correct all the little mistakes. And that's how my English became so good, because I also learned, with a little bit the hard way, just like you, where I was thrown with the group and with the skaters and everything backstage. It was a little challenging when I think about it. Like I can't ever tell this story without emotions ever. But thanks to my BFF from New Zealand, then yeah, I was able to be corrected and to enhance the level of my English. So thanks to those friends that you had back then who corrected you for your French, that's amazing. And we need those people around us when we learn a second language.
Yes, that's really important. It really helped me a lot, for sure.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so that's the French part. So obviously, that's your second language. And then now I want to dive in like the whole part of you also teaching yourself English when you decided, when you had a moment. So anyway, I don't want to tell your story. I'm excited for it. So I would like to know, like, when or how did it happen for you that you decided and you made the decision for yourself that, okay, I'm ready to learn a third language. I'm ready to learn English.
Yes, thank you for your question. So, like we discussed previously, I didn't learn much in school, and I remember being able to understand some words and maybe write some small text, but my English was really not good, and expressing myself verbally was not an option.
Mm.
So I was really not good at that part. And I remember thinking, well, we're in Quebec. I don't really need English. And life happened in a way that I really didn't need English. So there was no reason for me to really try to speak English, to communicate in English. I was not traveling. I was not doing a job that required for me to express myself in English with other people. So just life happened in a way that French was my main language, and that was perfect for me. And sometimes I was watching TV shows or movies in English with subtitles, and it was okay for me. And at some point, I remember just being in Montreal and just going home. And I just had that crazy feeling, intuition that I should learn how to speak and really express myself in a good way in English, because I would need it. And
Mm.
at that time, I remember being in the car with my music, and I was just trying to understand, like, why? Because there was no plan for me to learn English. And,
Right.
I even at that time, I was doing journaling, and I was journaling about my dreams and everything, and nothing included English, you know?
Uh-huh.
It's like,
Interesting. But yet you still had that intuition hit.
exactly. I was like, I want this, and I want that, and I want this, and I want that. But I never said I want this and I want to learn English. Like, no,
Right. Yeah, none of those desires were linked to English.
exactly. But
Mm.
the crazy thing is, I had that intuition that I should learn English. And then in the next days, next weeks, I was trying to find logical reasons to learn English. And I remember thinking, well, I never traveled. Every single time I was traveling, I was going to Romania. I know
Right.
Romanian. I don't need it.
Exactly.
And I live in Quebec. I don't need English. So I'm good. But then I was trying to find reasons. I never traveled, but I want to travel eventually in my life. So maybe,
Yes.
that could be useful. I don't need English right now in my job, in my work, but maybe one day I will need it. But there was no reason. I was just trying to find a reason. And
Hmm.
so I started trying to communicate in English. But when I say communicate, it's just with myself. I was trying to read out loud books. And at that
That's
time, I was
great.
doing a lot of personal growth. So I switched my books from French to English. I switched my audios from French to English. I tried to implement small, small things which were not easy. And when I was reading my book, I was trying to read out loud, even if I wasn't understanding the words, but I was reading out loud just to get used to speak, if I can
Yes.
say.
Yeah, exactly. Because English is really round in your mouth. And so that's such a good way. And this is good for anybody who's listening right now. When you're practicing a second language or a third language, you read a book out loud. Tu le lis à voix haute. It's so helpful. I used to do that with Spanish, actually. And it's quite fun, So that's great that you started like this. But you say you were not understanding the words necessarily in the book.
Yeah, exactly. But I
Okay.
just wanted to cross that barrier of saying something out loud in English because my fear of speaking in English was so huge. I could
Mm,
not even hear myself because I was a little bit scared, and I will be honest, I was ashamed of my accent.
mm,
And since I had that first experience learning French, some people, judged me or laughed. I was like,
mhm.
I'm not ready to go through this experience again. And just the fact of knowing that my English accent was bad and I was zero confident, I didn't even want to hear myself speak in English. So it was very difficult. That's why I was trying myself in my room with my books to speak out loud just to kind of cross that
Yes.
barrier.
Wow, good job.
And yeah, of course, at that point, I was just having conversations, if I can say, not really conversations, but I was just practicing,
Yeah.
try to practice out loud with myself. But at that point, I didn't have any conversation with anyone in English. And
Mm.
life happened slowly, slowly. I kind of gained a little bit of confidence, but at that point, I didn't have any conversation with anyone.
Okay, so it was all like self practice and like reading out loud and doing all your self development, your personal growth in English. So a lot of listening, a lot of reading, and some reading out loud. But then the next step was the connecting with someone and trying to find out if you were pronouncing it right. Because how did you know you were pronouncing it right?
Exactly. I didn't know.
Because your pronunciation is great.
I didn't know at that point. And the first time I had a conversation, and this is where the next part of my story is coming into a picture, is that I met my actual husband through a dating app. And I realized at that point, because yes, and when I realized that he didn't knew anything about French, and the
Hmm.
only way to communicate with this man was in English, it
Wow.
was a challenge for me. And honestly, it made me think, do I really want to have a conversation with this man? There are so many options when you go online. It's like there are so many options. But for some reason, my intuition said I should have a conversation, with this person. In the
Wow.
same way I had that, yes. In the same way I had that intuition that I should learn English, then I had this intuition I should talk to this person.
Wow.
And so initially it was quite easy because it was on text message. And even then I was always double checking with Google Translate just to make sure that my words are okay and my sentences
Yes.
are fine. And then one day he said, hey, let's meet up. And I was like, hey, should I?
So wait, did he live in Montreal or like where was he living?
He was living in Montreal, yes.
Okay. Okay,
And
good.
he never learned French. And so the only way I could communicate with him was in
Yes.
English.
Of course.
And I remember being so nervous. I was so
I
nervous
bet.
just with the idea of having a conversation because I never had a conversation with anyone in English. Never, ever, ever. But for some reason, the fact that I was kind of listening to some things in English, and sometimes I was saying, you know, sentences out loud from the book. I was like, let's give it a shot, you know. And I remember telling him before in a message with Google Translate, because I didn't know how to say it. I just said, hey, we are gonna meet, but my English is really bad. I said, my English is not good. You know, it's really bad. And I was going with a positive mindset, and I said, hey, worst case, we're just gonna laugh together
Right.
because I'm very bad.
All right. And then probably he said something like, well, my French is really bad, so we're good to go. No?
Something like that. Yeah. And even in that first conversation, I wasn't saying much.
Yeah.
I was letting him do the main conversation and the main communication. And I can just tell you a few very funny things that happened
Yes,
at that
please.
point. Well, at some point we were just talking about traveling.
Yes.
And he told me about the places he would like to visit. And then I just say, with all the confidence that I had at that time, I was like, I want to visit Florida.
Yeah. A lot of French Canadians, they pronounce Florida, Florida.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then he was trying to figure out, where is this place? Like,
Oh,
where is
funny.
this
Okay.
Florida?
Where is Florida? Yeah. Which country is that?
Like United States? Like, you mean Florida? Okay, yeah, that's how you pronounce it. Okay, Florida. That's where I want to go.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, so have you been ever since? Because this is the first
No,
time I hear about this. No? Ooh, okay. This is exciting.
maybe
Continue.
in
Sorry.
the next plans. And I also remember another funny story because he was very passionate about skydiving.
Mm,
And in that date, he just went on and on about skydiving, and he went for skydiving and he loved it. And he was going on and on about skydiving. And the whole time in my mind, I was like, scuba diving.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the air and the water, not the same.
Yeah. And I remember he was saying that he went skydiving, and they allowed him to do skydiving without knowing how to swim. And my mind was like, oh my God, you were scuba diving without even knowing how to swim. And I was so impressed. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then he showed me a picture of him skydiving,
Yes,
and he
in the
was
air.
up in the air.
Yes.
But for the past 30 minutes, I thought he was in underwater.
Right. Of course. But where does the swimming part come in the story? I'm confused. Like, why the swimming part?
I don't know. He was saying skydiving,
Yes.
but in my mind it was like sea diving or scuba diving. I
Right.
didn't know what skydiving meant.
Non, of course. Et pour les filles qui nous écoutent en ce moment, c'est de faire du parachute, là. Skydiving, c'est de
Oui.
plonger du ciel, donc du parachute.
And when he said skydiving, sauter en parachute, il n'y
Ouais.
a aucun lien que j'aurais pu faire.
Non, non, I understand. Especially that it's so close to scuba diving, which is faire de la plongée sous-marine, scuba diving, right? Alors, effectivement, ça se ressemble. It's very similar. So I understand the confusion, and probably that your husband also has an accent. I mean, is English his first language or second?
Third language.
Oh, third. Okay. So does he have an accent? Am I right to think that he does?
He doesn't. He has been in
doesn't.
Canada for many years, so
Okay.
he learned English the right way. And actually,
The
that's
right way. I reckon I speak English the right way and I have an accent.
okay. I can say he has an accent.
Okay.
You're right. You're right. Yeah, he has an accent.
Yes. Okay. So what are the languages that he speaks? I mean, it's so impressive how both of you speak. So three languages each?
Yes, but we
Okay.
only have one in common.
Of course. Yeah,
English.
yeah. But that's so cool. So the both of you combined together, 6 languages. That's amazing.
Yes.
So which one does he? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yes. I'm sorry for interrupting. So
No,
he
no.
speaks Punjabi,
Okay.
Hindi,
Yeah.
and his third language is English. And for
Yeah.
me, I was speaking Romanian, French, and my third language was English
Yeah. At the time.
at
Exactly.
the
So,
time.
yes. And how was it to understand him when you were sitting there? Like, of course, some pronunciation maybe made you think, oh, scuba diving instead of skydiving. But overall, when he was telling the stories, do you feel like you understood everything?
I will be honest, I didn't. I
Yeah.
wasn't able to understand everything. Of course, I was understanding some bits
Yeah.
here and there, and I could make some connections and maybe some kind of story in my mind. For example, like when he told me the story about skydiving,
Yeah.
I was making a small move inside my mind of what he was saying and maybe connecting the dots with the parts that I couldn't understand.
Hmm.
But overall, it was good, and I'm very happy and grateful because it's like the example about Florida. He just corrected me in a very beautiful way, and
That's
I was
nice.
like, okay, it's not Florida, it's Florida. It's fine. I don't know. I will know it for the next time.
Hmm.
And every single time I was making some big mistakes like that, it was just gently correcting me, and it really helped me. And that's
Yes.
how conversation after conversation I got better and with small corrections. And it's really important to have someone that really tells you what you're doing wrong because you cannot know, right?
Exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. And now, can I ask a juicy question?
Yes, of course.
Like, when did you realize that you were falling in love with someone with whom you speak English with, you know?
That's a very good question. So actually, we went on that first date, which was really funny. And, we had a good conversation in which, of course, he was communicating more than I was.
Mm-hmm.
And for a few times after that, the same thing happened. Of course, I was trying my best. And I remember because we were having conversations for a few hours in which he was doing the most part of the conversation, not me.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing the part of trying to understand
Yes.
and try to communicate the best I could at that time, whatever I wanted to say to him, right? And
Yeah.
after a few dates, because when you meet someone, is the communication is one thing. It's
Mm-hmm.
really important to tell the other person what you want to express. And I remember thinking that, it's going good, but at that moment, there are so many things I wanted to say to this person, to this man, that I couldn't, and I was so frustrated. And I
Mm.
remember thinking, well, I maybe there was something I could have done more, maybe look for more help, someone to help me before meeting him. It would have made things so much more easy because every single time we were meeting, it was so difficult. And it was time draining, it was energy draining, it was very difficult. So if I would go again through the whole process, I think I would just look or search for a better way to learn English than just by myself in my room with my books.
Yeah.
But after a few, we saw each other a few times, we met each other a few times, and it just happened naturally. And after a few weeks, we were together,
Yeah.
and things just happened from there.
Wow. That's so amazing. And I love that so much because I feel like what this shows, is that when you speak a language, you have, let's say, a life this big. And when you speak two languages, you have a life this big. Because two languages is two lives. Because think about when you go back to Romania, you have a life there. You go back to Quebec, you have a life there. Now you live somewhere else, and I don't want to say to everyone yet, but you live somewhere else now. You have a new life there in English. So all three languages are allowing you to have different lives. Like for me, I know that when I speak Spanish and I go to Mexico, I speak Spanish. All my friends there, my life is in Spanish over there. right? So nobody speaks French, or I mean, some English maybe, but no French over there. I come to Quebec, I speak French, and then I go to St. Pete and I speak English. So I have different lives depending on where I go because I speak three languages. And so this analogy, I really like it because this is your life when you speak one language, and then your life when you speak two languages, and then three languages. So it just helps you to connect with a lot more people. And what's really fascinating is that you never know when the right person for you is only one dialect off, you know? And I say off because, well, thank God you had those intuition hits and then you listened to your intuition and you just dove in the whole process of reading English and learning English and listening English, you know, because then, and I think what I find the most amazing in your story is that he's the first one that you had a real conversation in English with. That's amazing. You know, it's like I've been preparing myself in my room this whole time and now here I am. And it's so lovely to hear that he was so gentle and so nice correcting you, which is, you know, la bienveillance d'une personne, ça en dit beaucoup sur la personne. I think that also it shows that love, it's not just, how can I say, love is not just words, you know, it's also how you feel with this person and it's the connection, the soul connection. And I can relate as well because my fiance and I, we don't speak the same first language, you know, so his second language and my second language is English. So we also have our relationship in English, sometimes in Spanish as well. But yeah, and Spanish is my third, you know, so it's crazy. And I'm so grateful as well because I would have missed all of that if I didn't speak English or even Spanish. But anyway, it's wonderful. Languages are wonderful. And I think that your story shows it. It's so, so cool. So, okay. So now that we know that you, thanks to English, you met the man of your life. And, now, you know, after a few meeting together, a few, not meeting, but a few, comment se dit? Rendezvous, on pourrait le dire comme ça, right? A few rendezvous. Then you got together and you started building together your relationship. And then that's how your English probably just got so good and then so much more like natural for you, right? Am I correct to think that?
Yes, yes, exactly. Well, without any other choice but speaking in English, because I want to understand him and he wants to understand me, there was no other option. Of course, I had to make some efforts and try to express myself in a better way and always try to find ways to improve my English. And of course, with his help, it was getting better and better. Eventually, you know, practicing more and more with him made me better.
Yes.
My English was becoming better and better. And eventually we had discussions about maybe moving to another place. And eventually we've decided that we would move to British Columbia, which we did a few months ago. And we are so happy and grateful.
Yes.
And of course, next thing you know, after moving to British Columbia, I had the best job ever. And what I want to say, and really what I want you to feel, is that at that time, before I had the intuition about me learning English, I was journaling, and I was journaling a lot, like trying to manifest the dream of my life.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to manifest the best husband, trying to manifest the best place where I could possibly live, trying to manifest the best work environment. And I just remember writing everything that I want, and everything that I want was on paper except learning English. But somehow, even if learning English was not part of what I desired, my soul said, or the universe, like, you want all those things, but those things will happen in English, you know? So the thing is, I was manifesting everything. Everything that I wanted was about to become true. And the soul said, yeah, you'll get everything, but you'll have to learn English first. Everything will happen in English. And then I met my husband, and then we moved to British Columbia, which is really a place where I feel home and I feel so happy and so grateful. It's really everything that we desired.
Yes.
And I desired when I was journaling. And then same with my workplace. I remember writing down everything that I want, exactly how I want to feel. And
Mm.
of course, at that time, I didn't know that that workplace was requiring for me to know how to express myself in English, but everything happened for a reason. And now,
Wow.
no, looking back, maybe 2 years back, when I had that intuition, 2.5 years back, maybe even three. I'm sorry, but not exactly. But looking back, everything makes sense. The
Mm.
calling was there because everything that I wanted was meant to be in English.
Yes.
I followed that intuition, and even without knowing at that moment why, it makes sense now.
Exactly. Yes. And that's the importance of following our callings.
Yes.
Yeah, because we all have callings. We all do. Some people listen to them, and other people, they kind of just ignore them. They're like, oh, what's this? What's this? And it is taking us out of our comfort zone. It is. But what's on the other side of that discomfort is just
Yeah.
so wonderful. It's just so aligned. And there's a whole different life, a whole different chapter, especially with another language, you know?
Yes, exactly. And again, since my first experience learning French was so challenging, and in my day-to-day life at that time, I didn't need English. Of course, my mind, my logical brain was like, why would I go through the hassle of learning English if I don't need it right now?
Mm-hmm.
English is not even part of my dreams, and when I'm journaling. Like, why would I do that? Why would I put some extra effort to learn English? I don't need it now.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason why I did is because of an intuition, of a feeling. Something bigger than myself was telling me that it has to be part of my becoming,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh, j'ai des frissons. It was part of your becoming. Oh my gosh, that's so true. And I think what I find really fascinating and fantastic at the same time is that your dreams in your like logical mind, I would say, you didn't think that you needed another language to make them come true. But we all have dreams, and then when we really open up to more possibilities, opportunities, potentialities, like when we open more and also open up to another language, such as English, then that's when those dreams and those desires, they are placed on our path,
Yes.
sometimes it's like a key. And I always say that English is like an important key in your keychain because you can unlock many doors for a lot of different situations in life, and not just traveling and not just to have the dream position at work. Sometimes it goes even for finding the men of your life. That is so powerful. I love, love, love that because I resonate also with that definitely. So that's so cool. And now you live in British Columbia, and then the fact that you feel home, that's really cool. And then when you say I feel home and British Columbia has everything that you desire, you and your husband, is it because of the mountains, because of the water? Like, does it look something similar as Romania? I mean, I haven't been yet. I'm going this summer, but I'd be curious. Yeah.
Yes, very good question. Thank you. So it's a mix of everything. I really love nature. I'm surrounded by nature. From the apartment where I'm living in right now, I can see a beautiful lake. I have the mountains around, and I live very close to Vancouver. So we have pretty much everything we were wishing for, like the beach and the mountains and the
Mm.
nature. And at the same time, I grew up in Romania. I grew up surrounded by nature because I'm coming from the north.
Okay.
So I really wanted to have mountains around me in nature because I really like to go in nature. It's something that really grounds me, makes me peaceful, makes me full of gratitude. And so I really wanted that for me, for us.
Yes.
And at the same time, I'll be honest, I don't really like winter.
Yeah. Oh, well, that makes two of us.
So when we decided to move to British Columbia, it was the best of everything. The mountains, the nature, we have the beach, we have the city pretty close, everything is close. And at the same time, the weather is very good. We don't have winter, which unfortunately we don't really like. But yeah, it's a mix of all these reasons.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. I can't wait to go back. One day I will go back to British Columbia because I've been there, but only Vancouver. Like I haven't even visited Victoria yet. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I see photos. I'm like, one day. Yeah. But I do want to visit Canada with my fiance eventually in the future. That's on the vision board. There's no timeline, like it's just desires and dreams that we have. And one day we will make it come true and we'll manifest that beautiful adventure. But yeah, the mountains of the West Coast definitely is a beautiful place, and it looks very, very zen, very grounding for sure. So
Mhm.
that's so cool. I'm so happy for you. That's amazing. And then just everything, like how the ripple effect happened in your life just from deciding that one decision of learning English, speaking English, it all started from that one decision. You threw the rock, you started studying in your room, and then next thing you know, you're falling in love. And next thing you know, you're getting engaged. And next thing you know, you're moving to British Columbia. Next thing you know, you're married. It's just wow, wow, wow. It's amazing. So, yeah, congratulations for everything. And also, like, congratulations for believing in yourself and for being so resilient, as much for French as for English, and welcoming the feedback from the people who were helping you or coaching you or just giving you the right pronunciation or the right words, like it's really important in life to be coachable, to welcome feedback. And that's really how we grow faster. That's what I believe, because there's no such a thing as being perfect at something. And it's also very exciting as a human being to constantly evolve. And sometimes it's with a language, sometimes it's with other kind of healing or the kind of like self-development. Sometimes it's both together, just like with l'anglais, votre meilleur bagage, right? And especially foundation and refinement. This is what I have in mind when we combine self-development and learning English. But yeah, I feel like a human being who's evolving is a happy human being. Even when we experience hardship or challenges or even dualities, we're still evolving, and we know we come out of it stronger, better, a better version of ourselves. And life is full of beautiful surprises and ripple effects.
Yes. And what I can add to this, everything that you said was so beautiful. Thank you. And what I can add is when we want more, we have to become more. It's like you want more, it has to come first from you. You have to make the first step. And you want many things, you have dreams, you have desires. And if your intuition is telling you something, you have to follow those if you want your dreams and desires to become true. And of course, it's scary at first. Like, for example, you have this intuition of learning English, and it can be scary because your logical mind will just right away say, hey, we don't need it right now.
Mm-hmm.
We might not need it ever. But what if it's not there? Your intuition is there for a reason, right? And so when you have intuitions about something, I really truly believe that we should follow those intuitions, because if your dreams, desires, you know what you're going for, you know what you want better, you have to become better. You want more, you have to become more. And it has to come from you.
Yes. So true and so beautiful. And I love the what if, because unfortunately, the way we grew up is there was always the what if this bad thing happened, or what if I don't need that, what if, but there's also the, ooh, but what if? What if I meet the man of my dreams in English? What if the best position for me at work is half and half, English and French, or fully in English. And then there's also the what if your children fall in love with someone who speak only English and another language, but that's not French. And you want to communicate with your son-in-law, your daughter-in-law. Of course you do. You're so happy for your children to be in love, to have found the person, the one, right? You want to be connecting soul to soul. And so English maybe right now in this very moment doesn't seem like it's something that you need, but it's also something you prepare, because then maybe in the near future, short term, medium term, or long term, this is going to serve in so many more ways than we can even imagine right now. So I love the what if.
Yeah, and I just had this image popping in my mind. And the feeling that I had is, so imagine you're just living your life, and at some point you see an open door, that leads you to an opportunity or something. And the door is open, but the only blockage that you have is that door requires from you to communicate in English. And then instead of just walking through the door, you close it and you stay behind the door.
Yeah.
Because you never follow that intuition. And now that the door is open and the door is right in front of you, you are too scared to walk through that door.
Yeah. Because sometimes we don't see what's on the other side of the door, but we also have to just trust the calling, trust the intuition. Yeah. And sometimes we don't trust what we can't see yet. But I always say, if there's a calling, it means that there's something there for you, and God sees something that you can't see right now. But trust the calling, trust that intuition. Because what's on the other side of that fear, or the wall of fear that might have been built, just thinking about it, on the other side of that wall is something phenomenal. Surely. So, yeah, I think this is a very powerful way to conclude with our episode today, because I feel like everything you shared, it really relates to what I like to talk about, and also what I like the ladies to hear and to remind them about the ripple effect and about trusting your inner voice, the callings that you have also. So it's perfect. Thank you so much for sharing everything with us today, for opening up to us today as well. Like, this is very precious, and I know for sure that it's going to reach a lot of women's heart today. Yes. Thank you so much, Juliana.
Thank you so much. Merci énormément pour l'opportunité de raconter mon histoire et de venir ici et de juste avoir cette magnifique conversation avec toi. Je suis vraiment heureuse et reconnaissante. Merci à toi.
Oh, merci. Puis je vais finir l'épisode aujourd'hui en mentionnant d'ailleurs qu'on vient de compléter à la fin du mois de juillet la Masterclass Get Comfortable with the Verb to Get. Donc ça, c'est une classe des maîtres, parce que Masterclass, c'est une classe des maîtres où on devient maître d'un contenu spécifique. Et j'avais choisi cette fois-ci, pour la première fois qu'on lançait ce concept-là, j'avais choisi le Get, Got, Gotten. Et puis la Masterclass, la live experience est officiellement complétée. On est vraiment, vraiment fiers des beaux moments qu'on a vécu avec les femmes à l'intérieur du container. Mais la bonne nouvelle, c'est que c'est toujours possible de venir et rentrer dans la Masterclass, parce que elle est encore disponible, et j'ai tout gardé les replays pour vous permettre de venir bénéficier de tout ce contenu-là. C'est juste incroyable, les breakthroughs, tous les déclics. Et là, je dis ça, je fais des clins d'œil aux femmes dans la Masterclass, parce que on a eu un moment là-dessus ensemble. Et puis, c'est ça aussi que j'ai adoré, à tous ces moments-là live ensemble. C'était fantastique. Et la vibe, elle est vraiment là. Elle est vraiment différente. Puis, je le sais qu'elle se ressent dans les replays. Donc, pour celles qui n'ont pas eu l'opportunité de se rendre compte qu'il y avait même une English English Masterclass au mois de juillet, ben inquiétez-vous pas, c'est encore disponible et ce pour plusieurs semaines. Donc, vous pouvez rentrer dans le groupe Facebook, bénéficier de tout le contenu que j'ai préparé pour vous autres. Puis, en gros, ça consiste à 10 modules avec 10 significations différentes du verbe get parce que, ben oui, ce verbe-là, il peut être utilisé dans plusieurs contextes et signifier différentes choses. Donc, on prend le temps à chaque module de vraiment faire le tour de chaque signification. Fait qu'après ça, tu sors de la masterclass et là, tu te sens confortable avec ce verbe-là. Tu peux déjà l'implémenter dans ton discours. Bref, c'est fantastique. Gêne-toi pas de m'écrire si jamais tu as des questions à propos de la masterclass, bien sûr. Puis sinon, je vais laisser le lien dans mon Linktree et dans la description de l'épisode d'aujourd'hui. Et c'est super facile de toute façon en m'écrivant pour avoir le lien aussi. Donc, merci beaucoup les filles pour votre écoute aujourd'hui. Thank you so much, Juliana. And then as for me, I will see you in the next episode.